Brown for her excellent introduction to this report and the Noble Lord Patel for his chairmanship of the Science and Technology Select Committee. Now, this valuable and forensic detailed report identifies that in this area of climate policy, as in most of them, the government has rhetoric but no plans for delivery, as the title suggests. First, the report says, quote, "The UK does not have the requisite skills to deliver solutions at scale," close quote, and no plans to create them. Second, there is huge uncertainty about the details of policies that will incentivise nature-based solutions. Third, more funding is required in several key areas. But I want to focus on one crucial sentence in this report. That sentence reads, "Nature-based solutions are not a get-out-of-jail-free card." We have to both stop emitting greenhouse gases and restore our natural world. No trade-off is scientifically possible. Offsetting is a con, a cheat, a fiction. Now, I'm building here on the comments, particularly of the Noble Lady Baroness Worthington, but also the Noble Viscount Stangate and Baroness Sheehan, and taking one way of explaining this is looking at the difference between biology and geology. As the report says, there's great scientific uncertainty about how much carbon is stored and how it can be stored in different habitats and how long it will remain. The timescale of ecosystems, of biology, is, if you're lucky, years, but often months, days, even minutes. A wildfire sweeps through a forest, and literally, I grew up in Australia. I've watched bushfires up all too close. Within a blink of an eye, a lot of the so-called stored carbon is in the atmosphere. By contrast, geological timescales run to hundreds of millions of years. Up to around 400 million years ago, carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere were up to 6,000 parts per million. We're now at less than a tenth of that, albeit 50% up from the level at the start of the Industrial Revolution. Over hundreds of millions of years, geological processes locked vast amounts of carbon underground, mostly deep underground. It was never, at least on our human timescales, if you take a 24-hour timescale, we've been on this planet as a species for just 1 second, it was never going to emerge on that timescale until we started to dig it up. The best possible carbon capture and storage is to leave the coal in the hole, the gas in the ground, the oil in the orb. That carbon capture and storage is free, it's certain, and it's essential. Second, biological systems are living systems. They're flexible, ever-changing, adaptive, complex far beyond our current understandings. Unlike claims still sometimes made, just dropping a lot of organic matter in the soil, as good an idea as that is for both biodiversity and food security, is not necessarily going to increase soil carbon. To quote a recent journal article, persistence of organic matter in the soil depends on chemical, physical, environmental, and or biological factors. It's complex. The fact is, biology is not going to rescue us, and that means we have to stop growing our economy. We have to operate within the physical limits of this one fragile planet. We have to rescue ourselves by transforming our economic and social system, from a way of life built on carbon emissions to one that will stabilise this planet.
My Lords, it's a pleasure to start the wind-up speeches in this debate, and I'd like to thank the Noble Lady Baroness Brown and all involved in producing this report. It was an honour and a pleasure to serve on the committee. The evidence we heard was compelling, sometimes shocking, in particular in relation to bottom trawling, and the recommendations we made are important. Our findings gave us cause for much concern. We heard about major gaps in the research and data needed to give confidence to the decisions and measures we need to take to reduce emissions and sequester more carbon in our land and marine environments. For example, we wanted to see